I'm clutching my pearls. Did you see?
I do see you clutching your pearls. Because we're an audio medium, you should know that Hillary has put her hand on her chest.
Yeah, and
as though she's trying to calm herself down, and this is not a thing I've seen her do. Welcome once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
My name is Hillary.
And I am Josh, a.k.a. Who's the bigger idiot? The idiot or the idiot who watches all the movies made by the idiot?
It's a fine question. One I don't want to dwell on.
Also, just like last time, also a.k.a. still a little scratchy.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten my voice all the way back yet.
Not all the way back, but you feel better, right?
I feel a lot better.
Excellent.
It's just my voice.
Yeah. So I'm going to AKA a warning. I don't have allergy medicine today, so I'm going to get progressively more nasal. And occasionally I will do the snort sound that I try my best to catch before it happens, but you're welcome, audience. It's going to be disgusting.
We just have to try to get the snorts around the words.
Snorts around between
the
betwixt.
words. We're going to have to find a gesture.
Yeah, this is going to force me to be even more self-aware than I already am.
That's crazy, right?
It is. Like, what's next level?
Now, before we begin, as always, we do talk about any hits or misses we had from our salty episode.
Yeah. I don't have any hits or misses, but I feel the need, after re-listening to it, to put out there that I am aware that my humor can be very dark
Yeah.
and inappropriate to some people. And I don't think it needs to be said, but it's going to be said. I do not support or find humor in child molestation. I do not consider child abuse to be a humorous thing. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those laugh so you don't cry people. Mm-hmm. And, again, I don't feel like I need to explain this to most people, but there's always
There's always someone.
There's always that person who's like, they think it's funny? They think it's funny that kids are getting raped? No, I do not. Not only that, I am horribly, horribly upset by it. Mm-hmm. That being said, this is a comedy-esque, like a comedy-ish podcast right. That, fits my my sensibilities, which tend to be a little crass.
I get that.
Yeah.
This is part of why we get along.
It is exactly why. But also, we have nobody here to call us out.
That's true.
We might cross lines here and there. Never intended.
Nugget, you're responsible for calling us out from now on.
Like, please. Nugget's gonna be pooping in a moment.
He is.
That's actually a great timing. Himself, it's about to smell different in here. Molly might be better. I think I might respect Molly more. Mm. Molly, you're in charge
of responsibly policing us.
Yeah. Keep us in check.
So, Hillary.
Yeah.
What are we doing today?
Oh, we are doing a movie called The Fool. I use the term movie loosely.
Yes. As
it's documentary style.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a poor, poor attempt.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
Total mess.
Yeah.
The Fool is a movie by one Ray Comfort, who in this field that we cover, Christian movies and Christian media,
yeah,
he's a very prominent name.
I found that out.
He's got a show called The Way of the Master.
Him and Kirk Cameron. He's made many movies, like you said, with quotations around it. He has done debates. He's done all sorts of stuff. He's involved. Debates can have quotation marks around him as well.
Yes, they do with him.
Yeah.
He's done interviews. He's been on a show called The Atheist Experience.
Yeah.
Which is a show that's basically the atheist counterpart to Christian shows like his.
Mm-hmm. Is this how you heard about him beforehand? Where did you first?
I first learned about this guy from my time as a teenager trying to believe this stuff.
Okay.
Because remember, there was a period of time where I didn't believe it, but I wanted to.
Yes, we both had that.
So I watched a lot of it and took in a lot of it, trying to convince myself that it was real.
Right, because also, at that time, there's enough people making claims like, there's proof, you know, there's science, like, there are things that people have been uncovered, you know, they found parts of the ark, like, stuff like that, and you want to believe, so you're like, okay, give me anything so that I can hold on to that at least. And then the more and more that gets presented to you, the more you realize, oh, this is Bullshit. Oh, this is not, you don't know what proof is.
It was Ray Comfort and this guy called Kent Hovind, who more or less tore me out of the religion.
Oh God, that would break his little heart.
They were both so obviously wrong and not telling the truth, either accidentally or intentionally.
I think it's with him. I don't know the other guy. I don't know Kent, but I'm going to go ahead and start with my defense of this man. He's very dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to insult him. I'm talking about if IQs could actually be measured, his would be quite low.
Yeah.
And I think he's very well-meaning and has a very big heart, but he's super dumb and trying really hard to communicate with people significantly more intelligent than himself, and he doesn't realize they're not on the same level.
That's true.
So anyway, his stupidity and lack of actual proof is why you are with me here today.
That's true.
Interesting.
So, yeah, he was one of the primary figures in my coming away from Jesus.
Yeah, falling out of faith.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go.
Cowabunga.
You've already implied it a little bit, and we always do because we can't help it.
Right.
But what are we in for today?
A damn treat.
A damn treat. How would
she said sarcastically.
What would you call the format of this movie?
Documentary-ish.
Okay.
That's all I have. It's a documentary clearly made by him, so the point of view is bad, the editing is bad, all of it is just so poorly done.
Right.
You know how people get mad about the bias of, like, say, Michael Moore movies? Or, there's a lot of documentaries out there that are so clearly biased that they're not even worth watching. This is next level.
Yeah.
He edits out all of the other person talking sometimes and only shows what he says and then shows them looking at him, and then he's like, there it is, I fixed it. There's a lot of that, and it's movie, just so difficult. What would you call it?
I think documentary-ish is close.
Okay.
I would call it a movie made by someone who doesn't know about how to make movies, and yet has made at least a dozen movies.
Okay. Yeah. No,
because this is not a coherent movie.
There's an excellent, it's kind of like, this man is so confident, and he is so out of touch, and so not self-aware.
Yeah.
And you're just watching him do his thing, thinking that he's nailing it, and he's so far from the mark.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, and he definitely had a mom who was like, "You're the smartest boy. You can do anything you want."
Do you think he's charming?
No. Well, okay, actually, I'll take that back. I think he is so genuinely good-hearted.
Yeah.
And so sincere and earnest that can be considered charming. I don't think he's actually charming people, but I think people are having a hard time being mad at him.
It's like the Russian Simple Ivan. Simple Ivan is a figure in a lot of, like,
folklore?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's very stupid.
Okay.
But he's so simple and so, like, genuine.
Right.
That people like him.
There's
anyway.
a sweetness to him.
Right.
He's never
So
mad.
people help him. People get him through stuff that he should not be able to get through.
That is
because he's just so simple. They're like, oh, little Ivan.
That's exactly what this is.
So
he's
Ray,
simple Ivan.
He's simple Ray.
And I'm not gonna lie, like, I found him endearing a lot of the times. Just like, oh, this poor little buddy. You know, I don't even consider what he's doing to be as, detrimental to the world as what other people in his field do. He doesn't seem to have, like, a bitter bone in his body. He just is trying his damnedest. You know?
Yes.
So I'm actually gonna be less critical of this than I thought originally going in.
Well, let's continue then. Let's move on. Let's open with the beginning of the movie. It is a screen of Ray Comfort's face, and it's being drawn all over to make it look like he's a jester.
Yeah.
And this is the title card. The Fool. He's the Fool.
Yes.
And the story begins in earnest as he narrates about his time at the American Atheist National Convention in April 2001. He's participating in a debate, and he tells the story of how it all came about. His opponent initially dropped out because Ray had written a book called God Doesn't Believe in Atheists.
Yeah.
And he probably realized that that's not the kind of person with the level of critical thought in their heads.
Right.
So the guy dropped out and was like, nah, I don't need to talk to that guy.
So Ray's point of view is, I scared this guy off. Like, my point's so strong, he didn't think he could debate me. When in reality, the guy was like, I can't debate with a lunatic.
Right.
Like, both sides have to present points. And if one can't, there's no point to the debate.
Right.
Right.
But the atheist guy was eventually convinced to come back and go forward with it after all.
Right.
And he even sweetened the pot where he paid Ray's airfare and lodging.
A simple Ivan.
Simple Ray. Ray then reflects all the way back to the beginning of his evangelism. Wow.
Evangelism. You got there.
How did I say that word all the time on this show. and that was way back in the 80s. He also published a thing called the Evidence Bible. And this is all as incongruous as I am saying it. Because he's just making all these points all at once.
Yes.
And he's just, this is the thing I did, then this is the thing I did, then this is the thing I did.
Yes.
Because the next thing that he did, that he talks about, is he used to make a parody, he calls it, using a Coke can and a banana.
He doesn't know what a parody is.
He has no idea what a parody is.
But he thinks he's using the word right, and we just let him.
So we're going to have to get to that, but let's first get to it.
Yes.
Because he does not understand what the word parody means.
No.
And he says that he's been doing it for years, and he does it at that same debate at the National Atheist Convention. American Atheist National Convention.
Have you ever felt the need to go to a convention for our non-beliefs?
I don't
That's
personally
fascinating
understand
to me.
But I'm also a huge nerd, as you know, and everyone's always like, go to Dragon Con. And
you don't like group activities like that anyway. Dragon Con's a blast.
Finally, somebody who went recently went for the first time and came back and told me to my face, you would hate it.
Yeah.
Because that's the polar opposite of anything you like.
Yeah, you would hate it, for sure. I love it. Or I did. It's gotten too big for its britches right now, and it's intimidating. But anyway, I understand that.
But I was like, finally, someone gets me.
Yeah.
Because I have all the same interests.
Right.
That Dragon Con people have. Except large groups of people, loud noises, traffic.
Body odors.
Being around people, lines. Like, I hate all of those things. Those are like my top 10 things.
Yeah, but also, like, your top 10 favorite things are all there, too. So it's kind of like...
But I can do those on my own time.
Yeah, there's, like, basements full of drunk people playing werewolf, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't need it for that.
I know you don't. I'm not trying to convince you.
I'm not yucking anybody's yum. I'm just saying.
I know.
It's not for me.
No, I get it. And this is all because I'm trying to think...
Why you'd go to an American Atheist
Right, and not
convention?
even just like a lack of wanting to be around a group of people, but I don't know, like, I don't feel the need for a community in this. Like, I don't have a belief that I need to feel a community with.
Yeah.
I have a non-belief.
You would find
I lack belief, so I'm just living my life.
If you were more involved in the so-called atheist community,
yeah.
I personally think you would step out of it very quickly. I don't want to be involved.
No, everything I know about it, I'm like, no.
A lot of these people are very obnoxious.
It's just I think it's just personality types. The type of person who would want to have open debates online and be in forums and yell about what they're thinking. Those people cannot be a part of my life.
And it's not to say I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I don't anymore.
There you go.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's like I gave it about 5 years of when Christian people wanted to talk to me about my atheism, I let them. And now I don't anymore. And and again, it's kind of like this guy's point of view, where he's just like, they didn't want to debate, so clearly they were scared of me. I'm like, I don't want to debate because I've had this exact same conversation over 100 times with different people. Neither of us are going to be changed. I don't care to change you. I don't care what you believe.
Yeah.
So it's like you trying to convince me to be Christian. I'm not trying to convince you to be atheist. It's not like an even give and take thing.
That's right. I'm just here to talk about your fucking movie.
I just wanted to eat some chicken fingers and have a couple drinks.
He points out that his Coke can and banana parody didn't get the reaction that he's used to from the atheist crowd. He still got a couple of laughs, but it wasn't what he's used to in his Christian audiences.
And he acknowledged that the laughs were probably cynical.
Right. He says they might be cynical. And I personally also think it's because it's a really, really stupid point. Yeah. And the crowd isn't taking to it because it's dumb.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what the point he's making is?
Here's the point he's trying to make.
Yeah. No. Tell me what he does first.
What he does is he holds up a Coke can. And I don't know if explains is the right word, but he starts talking about the idea of this Coke can being something that was created, meaning
by circumstance.
By circumstance or naturally. It fell from this can fell from the sky and then paint grew on it or so. I don't remember exactly how
paint fell, then black paint for white paint fell.
Right. And then he holds up a banana and calls it the atheist's nightmare.
Right.
Which gets a good laugh from a church group later. Right. But falls very flat, except for the cynical laughter of the atheists. And he goes on to explain that because of the number of, I'm going to say notches, but like where your fingers, the ridges of your fingers and thumb perfectly fit with the ridges of a banana. It even has a pop top, Josh.
It's got a little tab at the top.
It's got a little tab that you can,
it's
peel
shaped
back.
For mouths.
It bends towards your mouth. And that is proof that God loves us.
Yes. So, what do you think he's trying to do?
He's trying to say that creationism is 100% true because the banana is proof. Because God created things for us. He created us and then everything for us. And the banana is the best indicator of that.
Or at least a simple indicator.
A simple indicator, yeah.
So.
And then he calls monkeys dumb for eating it upside down. Remember that?
I did not catch that.
That's a little later on, I think. Well, he's just like, and we're not apes. Like, apes do it like this. And like, hold it upside down. I'm like, that's actually the easier way to open it. They do it better. They do it better than us. It's actually... Ape's smarter than you, sorry.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
So, if it was unclear, he compares a Coke can to a banana. Because a Coke can being created naturally is obviously absurd.
Right.
It would be covered in paint, then different paint, and then say exactly how much fluid's inside. It's made of metal in the first place.
Right.
All this stuff. And that would obviously let you know, like, this has a creator to it.
Right.
A Coke can was created at a Coke factory.
Right.
Then he brings up the banana.
As something that's created.
As something that's created by God.
Right.
Because this thing is so clearly perfect for humans that it was created for humans.
There's no other explanation.
And there's no other explanation. He also does this very similarly. I think he does it in this movie. A painting has a painter. A building has a builder.
Yeah.
A banana has a creator.
Right.
The creation, Earth, has a creator. So this is his point, and he thinks this is a parody because he doesn't understand what parody means.
Right. He calls it stand-up later. He calls it a stand-up bit.
It's not,
point, which is closer to that.
It's not a parody if you think it's real.
Right.
Now, he doesn't think a Coke can was made naturally. He does, however, think that a banana points towards a creator.
Correct.
So it's not a parody. At best, he's making a point about something that he genuinely believes, and then later, when caught and pointed out how stupid it is,
he calls it a stand-up routine.
He calls it a routine.
Right.
Even though he genuinely believes what he's saying. That's not the same thing.
Even Kirk Cameron warned him.
Yeah, Kirk Cameron warned him.
That
like,
the
hey, don't do
atheists
this.
are going to make fun of you if you do this.
That's a really dumb idea.
And man, was Kirk Cameron right.
The first time ever.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk later about what came of this. As Hillary just mentioned, he even mentions that he did this routine on TV and was warned by Kirk Cameron not to. Mm-hmm. But he's nothing if not falsely confident. And he proceeds anyway.
Yeah, and his reasoning for it falling flat was because there wasn't a live audience to laugh at it.
Right.
And that's literally the only thing that he could come up with as to why it didn't do. You know, why didn't it work
there's no
so
people
well?
Here.
It works better with a live audience, as any comedy bit would.
So 3 years later, his show with Kirk Cameron is successful, and the banana clip has finally resurfaced on the internet. And he complains that the banana clip was taken out of context because they took out the Coke can point.
And the Coke can is what makes it logical.
Because if not for the Coke can point, this would totally make sense.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, it's such an obviously wrong excuse.
I know. He doesn't know. He really means this. He's not... Mm-hmm. He's very earnest about it. Mm-hmm. He really thinks that if people could hear the whole thing and hear it in his context, then, you know, this misunderstanding wouldn't have happened and the atheist wouldn't have anything to make fun of.
So what I did while watching this movie is I paused it. Mm-hmm. I went and I found the original clip with the Coke can included.
Right.
To find the context he claims was missing.
Right.
And as I explained just a little bit earlier, he talks about how absurd it would be to believe a Coke can came into its own existence, which is true and fair. No one believes that.
Right.
And then talks about the banana.
So hard.
Without a hint of irony.
No.
He says, this Coke can would be absurd to think it's naturally existed. But this banana.
Yeah.
Further.
Okay.
This is the funniest part for me.
Keep going.
While I was watching this clip for the context he claimed they needed.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron, on the set, in the same clip, no cuts, no stops, misquotes Charles Darwin.
Kirk Cameron does?
Yes.
Go
to
on.
make a common and very lazy point about the human eye.
Yeah.
You may have heard it before.
I don't know.
In The Origin of Species, Darwin says, he opens a sentence with, to believe that the human eye was created through a series of, I don't know exactly, but like a series of accidents and mishaps to create such an amazing thing, seems on its face, I confess, freely absurd.
Yeah.
He begins a sentence with that.
And
the last half of that sentence is him beginning to explain, but this is how it happened. And here's an actual, like, through line.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah.
Ray Comfort is complaining about being taken out of context by taking the Coke can out of his stupid little bit. And 4 seconds after he finished his bit that was taken out of context, they take another man out of context.
Oh my god.
And these people do not have any sense of irony about the whole thing.
No
sense of shame. If you're going to put the original clip up to say, this is the context that you guys were missing, don't leave in the part where you misquote somebody on purpose. They did not do this accidentally.
No.
They are well informed enough. They've been corrected on this enough to know that there is a second part to that sentence.
Yeah.
Where he says, I admit this seems absurd. And yet, here's the truth of the matter. So, it's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Why would you leave this on the internet? You're just making it worse.
Oh, God. Oh, man. I did not know about that. I didn't do the research.
No, that's fine.
Oh, my God.
So moving forward through this so-called movie, even Richard Dawkins, the famous atheist, makes a little fun of little Ray Ray. And he's so distressed by it. He gets made fun of by the whole, he gets made fun of by the whole internet for being an idiot. And it's all very upsetting. Despite the entire tragic incident, though, Ray's fame takes off, and he's now granted the ability to spread his word through various atheist channels.
He's so positive. Honestly, it's really, inspirational how he can take he is being called out directly and blatantly made fun of, just torn to shreds, and his reaction is, look at how much views I'm getting. Just check it, look at, I'm popular, people are listening to me now, I can get my word out, and it's just so sweet. Yeah,
so the argument he's attempting to make, and he's not even eloquent enough to make it directly,
no, I know,
is that every bit of attention he gets for being made fun of is just us playing into his hand.
Right.
He's not really upset that everyone thinks he's an idiot, guys. Come on. No.
He got his feelings hurt
He's just really excited.
Bit. Yeah, he got his feelings hurt a little bit, but then he saw the silver lining immediately.
Yeah, he's just not upset at all. That's why he made a whole movie complaining about being upset about it. Why would he be upset? He gets to make a whole movie. To whine about the fact that he said something really stupid once.
Well, really, by the end of it, you really, really understand the whole point of this movie was him just giving himself an outlet to directly react and respond to what people have said about him online. So this is somebody who's obsessed with this. He's been listening to everything, and he's been talking to his computer. He's been like, well, that's not what I mean. Just arguing towards a screen of some sort, probably, writing this all down, and then this is his attempt at a response.
You know what I realized?
What?
We have not actually explained why the banana clip is so stupid.
Why? What do you mean?
We haven't said it. What? We've said it's not a parody. He doesn't know what a parody means.
Right.
But we haven't actually pointed out
that real bananas, original bananas, were wide and lumpy and straight.
And have seeds?
They had seeds. Yeah, the common banana we know today is not the quote-unquote God-made banana.
Correct.
Right, it's actually humans
who modified
it to be our perfect
I just want to make sure we covered that, because not everyone listening will know that context.
That was where most of our laughter was coming from, is that knowledge.
Part of why the banana clip is so absurd is because bananas do not come that way. Right. Naturally.
Aside from not actually even if bananas were like that, it would be a dumb quote. If bananas were always this perfect
it still doesn't make sense.
It still doesn't make sense. But there's another level to it,
right,
where even the smallest thing that he's trying to imply is impossible.
It's still not true.
It's still not true.
And I also wanted to clarify one thing. I'm going to show you this. So I'm going to put it on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere. Both.
Okay. Yeah.
There is also a Facebook post made by Ray Comfort on Ray Comfort's Facebook page, which seems to be run by him. At least it's in the first person, where he says in 2013, a couple years after the banana clip, after he's been called on it multiple times, that the idea that bananas were modified by humans is not true. So, he's presenting in this movie as though it was a parody the whole time. You guys just aren't getting it. Yeah. Except he was then later called out on it, and in his defense said, that's not even really what happened. You guys are just lying. Yeah. That's not how bananas totally came this way for real.
They've always looked like this.
Yes.
Yeah. They've looked like this since I was a kid.
And then, realizing that was wrong.
Double down? Did he double down or backtrack?
No, didn't double down, backtracked and said, I was kidding the whole time. I'm not an idiot, you're an idiot.
That was a parody.
It was a parody.
I was parodying.
That's why I genuinely believed it. Duh.
Right. Yeah. No, that argument was a parody. Everything I say is a parody.
Here's the thing. You are correct. Ray is not bright.
No.
Some of this is genuine and earnest. He's also a liar. But, not just a liar. He's that special type of liar for Jesus.
I don't even know if he's a liar.
No, he's lying.
No.
Because he's pretending it was always a parody when he genuinely believed that was an actual banana.
I think everything that comes out of his mouth, he genuinely believes in that moment. I'm not sure he remembered that I'm saying. I don't think he's actively lying. I don't think he's like, I gotta cover, I gotta really make backpedal.
If you talk to him on Tuesday, he believes one thing, and Wednesday a different
he doesn't. Even within this documentary, he contradicts himself constantly, and it's so obvious to me that it's not him trying to be manipulative. Or paint himself in a certain way. It's because in that moment, he's like, this is what I was thinking. Because he doesn't remember. Or he doesn't have a firm enough understanding of anything to be able to stick to one story.
Yeah.
He's very, very stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it's a good idea.
It makes him endearing to me. I don't know why. I want to take care of him.
We're now onward to 2007. Where Ray highlights one of his jaw-dropping tactics to prove to people that they can get things wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
What is it? What does you do?
He asks them a series of questions quickly so that people have to give quick responses. Right. Yeah.
And then eventually you say you stop at a green light.
It ends with spell silk, and they're like SILK. It's like, what do cows drink? And people say milk because they may have a connection between silk and milk in their head, even though obviously cows don't drink milk; they produce milk. Right. So, and then that's him he'll catch them.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Which I guess proves God's real.
It's supposed to prove that you're wrong sometimes,
right? Yeah. So does that include him? He doesn't see that.
So he moves forward to mention a guy called Jorgen, who he eventually got to interview.
This is so embarrassing.
Now, this is the classic Ray Comfort style. You haven't seen this before, but he puts a camera in a random person's face while we have to listen to Ray ask questions to them.
Aggressively.
And he does his so-called good person test and all of his classical nonsense.
Boy, does he think this is really catching people.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to do this later. We don't need to talk about this because it's not a big part of this movie.
No, but it is the most annoying to me.
But it is the most annoying. And we're inevitably going to have to watch more of this stuff, and you're going to have to get used to it.
Oh.
It's just, every one of his movies is about something, but it's mostly this. Okay. This movie is better in the sense that we don't have to watch him interview a dozen people. Watching people trapped on the street being interrogated by him, and then also watching really educated and intelligent people trying their best to be interviewed by him is just so hard. It's so difficult and cringy. But we're going to come back to Jorgen. I mentioned it for a reason. Yeah, we have to go back to him. He's the ending, essentially. Right. But it's 2009 now, and Comfort covers his previous PR stunt, where he gives away copies of The Origin of Species, or in his own words, the Atheist Holy Book. Yeah. But they put in a foreword about how evolution isn't true. He can't talk about anything without being in context of the Bible. Oh, I know. And so he can't even read that as a book about scientific philosophy or theory. Mm-hmm. He thinks that Darwin is our prophet. Mm-hmm. He calls Darwin the atheist prophet. Yes. What else? You had something to say about this little stunt of his? Oh, right. So they quoted Darwin, but they only quoted part of Darwin. Right.
used him out of context and held it against him.
Mm-hmm.
Now what they're doing is he comes up with this stunt, which Kirk Cameron gets stoked about.
Yes.
Where once Ray finds out that Origin of Species is what public domain,
mm-hmm.
they decide to reprint
mm-hmm.
this book.
Thousands of copies, but with a foreword mm-hmm.
or an introduction by Ray.
Mm-hmm.
In his words, contradicting it or explaining why what you're about to read is wrong,
mm-hmm.
and putting it out as if it's the actual book.
Yep.
How? I don't have the word, actually. Help me, Josh.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember this happening.
Yeah.
I was keeping track of it when it was going on. I didn't care that much.
No, nobody would.
You're just making yourself look stupid.
You
because
look stupid.
Every argument you make in the beginning of the book is going to be contradicted by the facts in the book.
Right, and anybody who's reading that book is going into it with a scientific mind. Like somebody who's like can read and discern between facts and
anyone who's not wasn't going to believe it anyway because they've been told not to.
Right. They're not going to trick anybody.
Yeah, this isn't going to change anything.
And the idea that he thinks that he can write well enough to trick the people who are reading Darwin.
Right.
It's just so misled, and he's so confident without any reason to be. And even Kirk Cameron, who warned him about his banana
like, oh, this
parody.
Is a good one.
He's like, oh, this is a great idea. This will definitely work. We'll get lots of Christians from this.
Yeah. So they go ahead with their weird little stunt, and it brings up a lot of protests and controversy. People are irritated. A lot of scientific-minded people are like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
And there were planned counter-protests. So Ray and Kirk trick everyone by going a day early. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Again.
Why is the story in this movie?
How much money did you spend on this? Like, it's just, all of it's so wasteful.
See, yeah, and that's another thing. Ray is constantly begging people for money. I know he's like, kind of earnest and endearing.
Yeah.
But like,
he still needs.
Why is he wasting people's money on this stuff?
It's that, but honestly, like, I would have accepted that free copy because the book itself was not.
Yeah, you can just tear out the first 150 pages.
Yeah, or just doodle on them or something.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, oh, free book. I wanted to read that book. I have not read the whole thing before, so sure.
Or if you're interested in the argument, you can read the obviously wrong forward.
Right.
And then go through the book and point out why all of the forward is incorrect. You can do it line by line.
You're getting a free book, a free good book.
Mm-hmm. And a free insight into the minds of people who are wrong about everything.
Exactly. And a little comedy on the side.
Yeah. This is the real parody.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to a story about Penn Jillette, a famous atheist you all may have heard about.
Yes.
Of Penn and Teller.
Yes.
And he's also...
Bullshit by... Yeah.
Bullshit. I like that show.
I like that show, too. I don't agree with him all the time, but I like him.
Well, libertarian.
You know. I couldn't hang out with him, I don't think. But no. He's too irritating.
But the story from Penn is about being gifted a Bible and saying relatively understanding or kind words about the encounter. And the way he says it is... people who believe this stuff genuinely think you're in danger of hell. And they should be reaching out to you and trying to save you.
Yeah.
It's similar to if you see someone in the street about to get hit by a car, it doesn't matter if they don't believe you, you move them out of the way.
Right.
Because you don't want them hit by the car. And so Penn, it's a reasonable perspective. I
actually completely agree with that.
I agree with him, except that I'm sick of hearing it.
I'm like, I don't put up with it anymore,
But the first, 5 times, you're like, okay, I get what you're going for.
And also just, I think it really paints him well, because I do, the things I do like about Penn Jillette is he can look at things objectively, and he can really put himself in other people's shoes, and this is him really understanding the perspective of somebody who believes the stuff that he does not believe. And I think it's really kind, and...
he's doing his best to get in the mindset.
Yeah, and he's like, if you do believe this, of course, your only option is to help save people. Right? It's like, if this is what you believe, you're an asshole for not trying to indoctrinate.
And this fills Ray with such spirit that he's like, oh, I have to talk to this man.
He's basically in love with Penn Jillette.
Oh my god. This movie is really about his love.
It's a little bit stalkery.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I know.
But we're going to get back to that, because all of the disparate points of this movie so far are going to somehow tie into some other point, even if none of it makes sense.
Yeah, haphazardly. It will all come together.
But first, we have to talk about Ray's movie 180. And it's a movie about how it'll change your mind on abortion in just one question. But of course, he doesn't show us what the question is, because that would spoil it.
He doesn't show anything about it, except one girl's reaction, where she's like, sure, I'm against abortion. I feel like she just was trying to get away.
Possibly.
Also, if she was convinced, fine. But if
now,
not,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember this question.
Because it didn't do
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And he also brings up this opportunity because he sent a copy of the movie to Richard Dawkins and he wanted him to watch it. And he wrote a little message to him on the front of the cover of this DVD. And apparently when he's writing shorthand, he shortens thoughts to thorts. He's like, this is a totally reasonable thing people do.
He's like, yeah, okay, it's another one of his backpedaling.
Yeah, he's like, this is a totally normal thing people do, and I do it all the time. But then I gave it to Richard Dawkins, and he made a video making fun of me for saying thorts. It's like, right, even if you do that, which is a weird habit no one does, thorts isn't even that much shorter than thoughts. It's one letter difference.
It's not a shorthand, it's literally...
just a different word.
It's a completely different word. Thorts.
Or was he trying to say, was it technically supposed to be thoughts and something?
No,
okay.
I think he just misspelled thorts. Or he misspelled thought.
But is he so upset about the fact that he got made fun of for a hobby that no one... He's like, this is totally just a thing I do.
No,
duh.
And this is that he uses this to show how mean-spirited Richard Dawkins is. And how,
He made fun of me for saying thorts.
Why are you doing it in fucking salty voice? I thought we were done with that.
That was my Ray Comfort impression.
No, that's not even close.
I'm trying.
There's not an inch of New Zealander in that.
Well, I'm not an expert at accents.
Well, great. Stop it.
But now we're talking about some of the other movies that Ray has made, and this one is the one where he asked evolutionists to prove evolution to him. And despite receiving that proof multiple times on tape in multiple circumstances, not just the movie that he made, but also in many places I've seen Ray admit that evolution is real and then claim it's not real though. I've seen it happen with my eyes.
That doesn't surprise me. The reason it doesn't is because there's other moments in this movie where he does the exact same thing.
100%.
Where somebody asks him a direct question, he gives an answer that's not an answer, but thinks that he explained himself perfectly.
So, because the evolutionists typically offer examples of speciation, and that's exactly it. If you need to know what evolution is in a nutshell, if you think speciation is a real thing, and you can't not because it happens constantly, and we can prove it, you believe in evolution. Because you take a species that becomes two species, multiply that by 1 billion, and then you have life as we know it.
Right.
This is not in dispute. You cannot dispute this.
He tries.
He brings up his thing about birds are always birds, and dogs always give birth to dogs.
Dogs always give birth to dogs.
And it's like, you idiot, because they're very similar right now.
I know. No, I know. We don't need to argue.
But the point is, if you agree with speciation, and you can't not, you're an evolutionist.
Right.
It's not in dispute, except Ray doesn't think he is.
No.
Because he just doesn't agree with basic definitions because his job and his livelihood depends on him not understanding.
And he thinks he makes someone look real dumb.
No, he does.
Because he asks that question about whether this man thinks he's a primate. The man says, yes, because we are primates. And he's like, you think you're a primate.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was his moment. He's like, oh God, now I'm like, here's something for the internet to make fun of. This guy thinks he's a primate. And that was the end of the conversation. The guy's like, yes.
So now we're on to a metaphor about hawks. Because Ray took the word bibliophile as an insult at one point. And Richard Dawkins once again posted a tweet about him because Ray doesn't know basic words.
Again, this is much like the primates thing, where he thinks he is really calling someone out because someone called him a bibliophile. And he thought that was
some combination
of what, Bible and pedophile?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know about root words, or I guess,
Latin suffixes?
I was gonna say prefix, suffix. Well, Latin suffixes is exactly what the problem is.
But,
so it sounded like a pedophile to me, so of course I got upset.
Right.
Like, you could Google bibliophile.
Exactly, you could just look it up.
Easy.
So Ray gets made fun of again by the entire internet, and this is what the hawk metaphor was about, because the hawks got a tasty feast at Ray's expense. Mm-hmm. And he's like, atheists are just pretending that everyone's just always used this word. He's like, no, they're really just pretending that they can Google something before acting like they're upset about it.
He thought this woman made up the word bibliophile to call him a pedophile.
For the Bible.
Yeah,
That doesn't even make sense.
He just thought those two words were being smushed together, and she made up a word, and he immediately responds with a very stupid response on Facebook, and then she's like, I'm sorry you took it that way, but it just means a lover of books. And he's like, oh, my bad. And he's like, ha 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 ha, I thought you called me a pedophile. And that was the interaction on Facebook, which Richard Dawkins had a field day with, as we all are right now.
And the thing that makes it particularly egregious for me is that if you and I are having a conversation here, we don't tend to stop.
No.
So if I were to say a word you're not familiar with, you can take it any way you'd like.
I either asked you directly, like, what does that mean? Or I'd note it in the back of my head to look up later.
But he's on Facebook.
Yeah.
So he reads this word while on the internet.
Right.
And he's like, I'm just going to assume it's pedophile.
Yeah.
He could just easily bibliophile. Oh.
No, because he's stupid.
But that's my point. Like, in a real situation, you don't always have time to figure it out.
No, exactly.
So you ask or you move on or whatever. This dude is on the internet. He's got plenty of time. He's on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you're on Facebook, you're not like... You're probably not
Stopping and thinking and doing is not how he works.
I understand. At this point, I was growing really sick of this movie. Yeah. Because it's just a series of Ray doing really dumb things, complaining that he gets made fun of for it, and then insisting that it was totally awesome after all, because it just gives him a bigger audience to make a fool of himself in front of.
Exactly. That is you just did it. That's the entire summary of this movie.
I know, and it's still going.
I know. You did this.
I know, but we're going to move on to when Ray Comfort meets Lawrence Krauss, and he gets interviewed by Lawrence before he interviews him back.
Lawrence is... which one?
He's the older guy, gray hair, it's kind of long.
The one with Benjamin Franklin eyeglasses?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
And Ray admits to believing in thought crime. So that's a real thing that he did. Mm-hmm. If you want to do a bad thing... You've done the same thing as actually doing it, which is why you can go to hell for literally nothing because you thought bad things.
Correct.
So...
My Bible camp tried to tell me that, and I laughed in their face.
So, this is Ray in his own movie.
Right.
Deciding to leave in the part where he was like, yeah, thought crime's a real thing, and you can totally burn in hell for something you never actually physically did.
Right.
And that's absurd and obscene, obviously, but at least it's consistent.
Especially since that came out of his mouth after... Mm-hmm. What's his name? Lawrence?
Lawrence.
After Lawrence asked if he thought that God was a loving, caring God.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you think that your God is a loving, caring God, but also he throws people in hell for eternity.
Yeah.
And that led to, and he's like, yes, loving, caring God. Also, yes, you will go to hell forever for thinking a bad thought. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he does not recognize
the obvious contradiction there.
Right.
It's like we said multiple times.
We watched it in the moment. That part was not cut too much.
He just dumped it out of his brain.
Right over his little head. Yeah, everything just rolls off of him.
He also does talk to Lawrence Krauss about how the banana thing was pretty embarrassing at the time.
Yeah.
But it's given him a higher profile, so it's all worth it. So he's been
all these atheists are giving him a platform to preach his word.
And
what fools.
He ends the conversation about his loving God throwing people into hell, which is a real place, by deflecting. A very clear, Steven Seagal deflection.
Yeah.
About how he's got hope of eternal life. And Lawrence Krauss points out something that I've pointed out, not on the show, but in the past.
Right.
That eternal life in any scenario sounds like a fucking nightmare.
No, literally, that's what I've said for a long time. He's like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like your idea of heaven is hell to me.
Yeah, Ray's like, I don't want to die. I want to live forever.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is like, that sounds fucking misery. He doesn't say fucking. He's like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. Eternal life?
Anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Anything forever sounds awful. Yeah. And I've said that as well, and I enjoyed that. And he's so calm about it, and I really liked that man. I think he handled it. Yeah, I think he handled it really well. He could see Ray for who he was, which is just a simple man trying his best.
And it's at this opportunity that Ray Comfort finally gets to talk to Penn Jillette, who's been in this room the whole time.
Yeah, boy, he's just glowing.
And can we first talk about the fact that Penn Jillette clearly did not want to be in this movie.
Yeah, because his entire body, not just like his face, not his voice, like everything about him is blurred out. Because I think he made it very clear, I will sue you.
I'm not in this movie, fuck you.
Right, I don't want to be interviewed. I don't want to be here.
So it's the weirdest part of a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because
you can't have his voice. They whenever, like, Jure is talking to a blob, a blurry blob, and then they have whatever Penn is responding with is typed out. It's in subtitles because he doesn't even want his voice a part of this thing. And it's very uncomfortable.
It's so funny.
It's so funny.
Weirdly cut.
Yeah.
So,
and the whole thing is really weirdly edited because he doesn't know how to make his points.
Yeah, I mean, he's bad at movie making anyway.
Right.
But this particularly is just so strange.
Egregious.
Like you said, just looking at a blob talking to Ray with subtitles instead of words.
Right. A very tall blob. You know it's Penn because he's hovering over everybody. He's like 7 feet tall. So just like this very long blur. And
Ray has to summarize most of the conversation because, again, very clearly, Penn Jillette was not interested in being in this movie.
No.
And we understand.
Yes.
But
love you, Penn.
Right.
Good call.
Then, eager to flee the scene, though apparently not from comfort. That's his words. He's like trying to run away from another conversation. It was you, Ray. We get it. He was like, okay, I'm done with this. This fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's like, how do I get the fuck out of here?
Penn ran off into the street, apparently, and was almost hit by a car.
Right.
With one of his friends.
Because he was being stalked. Out of the building.
For years.
Stuck for years, but then also, like, he managed to be in the same building as him, and Ray would not let him leave. Like, he followed him out to his car, and Penn's just like, how do I get out of this conversation?
Run into the street.
And he got, he was so desperate to get away from Ray that he ran into the street in front of a car.
Almost got hit.
Apparently
by a car. It grazed his pants leg.
Right after being reminded of his running over by a truck. Metaphor, yes. Which obviously means something.
Yeah. And so that's supposed to be irrelevant.
A sign.
I don't know what it's supposed to be.
It was a sign, Josh.
But then Ray finds out that the guy who gave Penn Jillette the Bible from the original story was some guy that he already knew. Big whoop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's another person who doesn't make good arguments.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm so sick of this movie.
I'm sick of it.
I was writing it down. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do this anymore.
I hate it so much.
We get a final scene now about Jorgen, the interviewee from earlier. And he says that he's not worried about living too much longer. He's in his 50s, 60s. And he's not thankful to anyone for his life because he doesn't believe anyone gave him his life in particular.
Right. This man who speaks English as his second language, by the way, also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's doing his best. Ray's attacking him. Asking him very quick, aggressive questions while this man is trying to figure out how to answer in English and also is still trying to stand up for himself and be like, I don't believe. So whatever you're saying right now doesn't mean anything to me. And Ray thinks he's making his points very strong. And
he rejects the offer from Ray to put his trust and faith in God so that he'll get the proof that he wants, which is a bold claim that I've had many religious people, Christians in particular, claim to me.
Yeah.
But it's almost never backed up by evidence.
No. And there's also...
it's this, if I wasn't clear, he says, if you want proof that God exists, trust and believe in him first, then you'll get it. And that's not how that works.
No, that makes no sense whatsoever. And then he does the argument, which I'm so fucking sick of, which is, what if you're wrong? I'm like, I'm not gonna base my whole life around fear
that I'm wrong about something.
That I might be. I'm like, in that case, I should worship all of the gods that have ever been. Yeah.
I know.
I should, but some of them contradict each other. It's so what should I fucking do then?
It's just shitty Pascal's wager. And Pascal's wager is shitty as it is.
Yeah. Look, I'm just going to keep living my life and be my own definition of a good person and work on myself and try to help people. That's what I'm going to do.
Ray somehow found...
If God's real and just, I will end up in whatever place he considers the good place.
Ray somehow found the shitty version of a shitty argument. Because he's just really talented.
Yeah.
And now we skip to a news article about how Jorgen, this guy, has been hit by a car and he's dead now. So... I don't know what we're supposed to take this. Is Ray threatening to kill us with a car?
No, I think so. Yeah.
Like, believe in Jesus or I'll hit you with a car.
He refused to believe in Jesus and then God killed him. Did you see that? He's in hell now.
He gives a final little speech about...
This poor man being attacked on the street just trying to live his life is now...
Dead.
Now the poster child for converting to avoid clear hell. He's obviously in hell because he never converted.
Right.
At least not in front of Ray.
So Ray gives a final little speech about how you could be smashed to death by a car at any point.
Right.
So don't be a fool, accept Jesus today.
That's 2 atheists that almost got hit and then did get hit by cars on camera. Well, he didn't get hit by a car on camera, but...
I have seen every one of Ray Comfort's movies.
Of course you have.
Right?
Yeah.
And this one is, I think, pretty easily the worst one he's ever made.
Oh, good. So it's all up from here?
I guess so.
Okay, cool. I have that to look forward to.
I mean, unless you hate The Interview, in which case, this is the best one he's ever made.
You hate The Interview?
The interview part?
That's my least favorite part.
Oh, well, then the others are all worse.
Oh, god damn it.
But it's not because it's particularly stupid or troublesome or anything. It's just that it's really boring. It's absurd and it has no point. It's just Ray.
It's a complete waste of time. There's nothing.
Whining.
Yeah.
And then pretending he's not really whining. But you saw this whole movie, so let's talk about what was the best and what was the worst.
Okay. Best was, I'm going to start with that this time. Because usually I start with worst because it's easier. I think the best is that I genuinely believe that Ray Comfort, despite all his failures and idiocy, is really well-meaning.
Yeah.
And I think he's a really kind-hearted person. We didn't talk about it, but there's a part in this where part of his street preaching, the part of it where he asks people to rapid-fire questions, he's getting people interested because he's giving out $1 for anyone who
we forgot to mention the guy who always came and took his money.
Right. So there was an atheist that showed up to every single day and would loudly answer the questions so that he would get all the dollars. And I feel like this is a really telling sign of who Ray is. He did not get mad about it for 1 second. He's just like, this guy just keeps showing up. But instead, he learned his name. And he's like, here you go. Do you remember the guy's name?
No.
It's like, listen, his name's Carl. Yeah. He's like, all right, Carl, come get your $1. And he just had fun with it. And he's like, Carl's here every day, everybody.
I'm buying him lunch.
Yeah, and he'll ask Carl nicely. He's like, let other people answer. Let somebody else get $1.
Carl would not.
And Carl would not. Carl answered every question.
I like Carl.
I like Carl, and it makes me like Ray, because, he didn't do that thing like anybody else would in that position, where he'd just get angry, or, refuse to let him answer, or, try to fight him off or anything.
That's just the light of Jesus in Ray.
He just let him be there and do his thing. And
I would like Ray, too, if he kept buying me lunch.
And gave him a hug. He's like, this is my friend now. He considered everybody friends once they had conversations with him.
I never buy that.
I know. Well, I do with him. I think he's the only genuine one about it. He's just like, and now I have friends, and these are all my friends, and we can, laugh, and you can tell the other person is uncomfortable and doesn't want to be there, but in Ray's mind, he's genuinely making a change and difference, and it's kind of cute. So that's a pretty long-winded, good, my best. So
my best is going to be, as we talked about, the fact that Penn Jillette did not want to be in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
It is so funny. That's a very good
And
thing.
the idea in my head of that conversation happening, and it was obviously recorded, and then Penn's like, fuck this, and leaves and tries to get into the street, almost gets hit by a car. Yeah. And then Ray's later writes him, I'm gonna put the thing in our movie. And he's like, nope, fuck you!
Yeah, I don't think Penn was he sent, his lawyer sent a very specific letter. Someone representing Penn was like, we will sue you.
Yeah, no
if even a
way
finger is shown in this movie.
So what do you think was the worst?
Oh, the worst is just that this documentary has absolutely no reason to be in existence. It makes no points. It proves nothing. It does it actually works against what he's trying to do more than anything. He proves himself wrong stronger than he was originally shown to be wrong. Which is embarrassing. So there's a lot of secondhand embarrassment and cringe.
There's so much.
I know.
My worst is going to be the fact that Ray still, after making a movie, doesn't know what the parody means.
Yeah, he didn't edit that out. No, he doesn't know.
He doesn't know what it means.
At least he learned one new word. Bibliophile.
This entire 9 years.
Yeah, so that whole documentary was worth it to know that he learned one new vocab word.
So let's talk about what we're doing next week.
Next week, Josh, we are doing The Angry Atheist.
Also by Ray Comfort.
Also by Ray Comfort. That's right.
When I got this movie, it was included.
Oh, this is a twofer?
This is a twofer.
What a
I got
gift.
2 for 1.
What a gift.
This one I wouldn't call a proper movie. It's only about 35 minutes.
Right.
It's bad. It's very... It lends itself to a lot of interesting points, though.
Okay.
So next time we should have a lot to say about the shortest thing we've ever done.
That's very interesting to me. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so it should be a good time.
Okay.
You looking forward to it? You
No.
want to see more Ray Comfort in your
Don't
life?
want to. No, not at all.
But you're gonna have to.
We're here to be honest, right?
Yeah. And remember, as always, if you like the show, please give us some of those 5-star reviews on whatever podcast app or service you are using. And tell your friends about us any way that you can, because we need you to do that.
Yeah.
It helps us. Links to everything are in the description of this episode, and please go to the website and send us a comment or a question so that we can have a mailbag.
Yeah.
You can yell at us. You can scream at us.
You can treat us like your journal.
You can write us questions about Hillary's personal life.
Yeah, you can. I won't answer.
She'll tell you lies only.
No, I don't. I don't lie. I say no comment.
That's what I like about you.
No point in lying.
As always, thanks for listening.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.